All right, guys, welcome back. So this is part two. Get my screen shared with you here. All right, so we talked about why we need to exercise. And now let's talk about when. I don't. This isn't going to take too long, but when is important. Let's look at some of the data that has been on this done on this topic. So in this study, it was a 10-month supervised exercise intervention. It's important to note that a lot of research on exercise, people actually aren't doing it, so you don't really know if you can trust the results. But this was a supervised intervention, meaning people did come in and exercise. Individuals all did the same type of exercise. They did the same exact thing, but they could come and exercise whenever they wanted. So, although they did the same exercise, the time of day that they exercised was different. Essentially, people came in either before noon or between 3 to 7 p.m., or you became people were what we called sporadic. They came in the morning, in the evening, that kind of thing. So, what these researchers did is they said, let's see if the time of day that people exercised affected how much weight they lost. They all did the same exercise. What did they find? So after 10 months, here's percent of weight change. And this wasn't a diet study, so they didn't address diet. So here's our key. We have controls. They didn't do anything. Here's our late exercisers, sporadic exercisers, and early exercisers. And if you notice, the people that lost the most amount of weight were those who exercised earlier in the day. The people that lost the least amount of the day weight, were the people that exercised later in the day. And then actually what they found, this is the same study, they also found a dose response relationship, meaning the more exercise sessions that they did in the morning, there was a higher amount of weight loss. What this is showing, each bar represents one person in the study. Okay, so we're looking at individual differences, and we had greater amounts of weight loss in this group or in the group that did the early exercise. But they found this dose response relationship. Okay. Now, why? Well, there's a few reasons. One, our body will burn the macronutrient that's most available. Meaning, think about this. If you get up in the morning, especially if you're not eating before you exercise, well, what do you have available to use for energy during your exercise? Fat, really. If you eat a big meal, say high carbohydrates before a meal, you're going to be burning the carbs of that meal. And so one reason is you're going to probably burn more fat during the exercise session after night or after an overnight fast. Um, so that's one reason. There's other reasons why exercising in the morning may be beneficial. And this is where the evidence is the strongest. Exercise has been shown to produce a higher amount of satiety when performed in the morning versus later in the day. So, meaning if you perform exercise in the morning, the data is pretty compelling that you're not as hungry. If you perform that exercise later in the day, it's actually opposite, which is kind of scary. A lot of research shows that people who exercise later in the day actually increase how much food that they're eating by anywhere from 80 to 230 calories. Let's take the high end. 230 calories is the number of calories that you might burn during the exercise session. So if you exercise later in the day and say you burn 300 calories, but because it was later in the day, it makes you hungry and you eat 230 calories, you've only created a negative loss of 70 calories. That's nothing. The reason that exercising in the morning makes you not as hungry is, again, what it does to these hormones. Ghrelin is another one of our hormones that's released from the gut. And when we exercise in the morning, it has a favorable effect to make you not as hungry. Again, we have to deal with these hormones. A 2020 review concluded that exercising in the morning reduces hunger to a higher degree than if exercise was performed later in the day. Research has stated that the reason is because of its effect on appetite control. Very compelling research in this area. Last reason that you should exercise in the morning. So reason number one is, well, you're essentially fasted, so you'll probably be burning more fat. Reason number two, and this is where the data is very compelling, is it's going to curb your appetite. And then reason number three is you're more likely to do it. And that's the facts. Oh, I'll exercise after work. Oh, I had a stressful day at work. I got home late. I'll do it later. This study the only thing that this study did was looked at the feasibility of either exercising in the morning or in the evening in these overweight, obese adults. And they found that it was more feasible to exercise in the morning. And I know you may be saying, well, I got to go to work pretty early. Get up earlier. I get up at 4:30 every morning to get exercise in. And you say, well, I can't do that. Then you're not going to lose weight. Remember, the idea is you're going to have to plan what's important to you. Now, exercising, period, is better than not exercising. So if it does work for you and you're like, I always exercise at the end of the day. All right, just do it. I don't want to stop you from exercising. If you see a way to make this happen in the morning, give it a try. Give it a shot. Take home message. Exercise in the morning is ideal for fat loss, mainly because you're not going to be as hungry. In the 24-hour weight loss planner, you've seen this before, you need to schedule when you're going to exercise. So here's where you can schedule events and appointments, right? When are you going to exercise? Realistically, you want to exercise sometime in this time period, if you can, in the morning. That's the goal. So that's kind of your take home for this module. So take the quiz. Like always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I look forward to answering those questions, and I will see you guys in the next module.